Thank you for reminding me to record. I forget sometimes when I'm talking in the beginning. So make sure you have a rolled towel. And like I said, well, I'm not going to repeat everything I said, but we're going to do some backline work. Now, one of the things to know about the fascial connections of the whole backline of your body is that it really starts at your eyebrows and comes over your head and down all the line along your spine, across your sacrum, down the back of your legs, all the way to the soles of your feet and the bottoms of your toes. So when we sit here for a moment, let's imagine that you have this fascial connection in the superficial backline of your body. All right, so take a moment to close your eyes and sit up straight and tall. Just fixing my computer here while you guys do that. There we go. All right. So are you comfortable? Are you are you in a seat that supports your well-being? And do you need to shift or change anything? So feel the long, spacious spine. Let your vertebrae kind of float on top of each other. The sense of that you have curves. Of course, you have curves in your spine. You don't want to erase your curves, but within the curves, there's this alignment of structural support. Feel into that. And then often we jut our head forward, so allow your ears to land over your shoulders. And just for this moment, lift your chin only a little bit, just enough where you can feel the sense that your eyebrows, almost like your eyebrows have hot air balloons attached to them that are lifting them up toward the sky. And see if that ever so slight release on the tension of the eyebrows can transfer across the top of your skull down like a waterfall down your back, down the back of the skull, base of the neck, all the way down to your tail. And with the kind of river flowing in that direction, what naturally happens to the front of your body? Do you feel like there's a lift, that the sternum follows that hot air balloon? Is there a natural tendency when you focus on this back line that your shoulder blades may settle in a better place instead of rolling forward? Can you feel into the support of the back of your body? Now rest your face, relax what you can, soften your shoulders. Try to do all this without slumping your shoulders forward or your chest down. And when we have this spaciousness and support, let's move our breath into it. So feel the movement of your diaphragm and rib cage. As you're ready, place your hands together at your heart, and you can now bow your head and see if you can do this without losing that feeling of support that the body has given you. Offer an intention. Let's release the hands. All right, let's find our way onto our back. You need a strap and a rolled towel for now. We'll need other stuff later, but for now, that's a good place to start. All right, so lie down on your back and stretch your legs long on the ground, stretch your arms overhead, and just feel into the beautiful stretch of awakening that we often do. Now, just for a moment, lift your right hip high, your left hip down, switch sides, feel into your low back a little bit, the strength of the unilateral posture of the pelvis where we can have the ability to hike one hip up and then hike the other hip up. And then even them out and bring your knees into your chest. Okay, rock a little bit, swaying side side. All right, let's circle the knees, rolling in one direction 2 or 3 times. Notice the head, let it get heavy. And then let's roll your knees in the other direction. And then the third direction, open up your knees away from the midline and bring them back in toward the midline. Have this sense of ease in your hips. Try to ease up your hips. Let's go ahead and stretch out our limbs like a star. Take a deep breath, wiggle your fingers, roll your wrists and your ankles. Just get a little mobility in your hands and your feet, wiggle things around. And then a big stretch, lengthening out. Exhale, knees into your chest, pick up your head. One more time, expand your body, stretching your limbs wide. And then exhale, drawing your knees in. Relax your head down, roll over onto your side and grab your rolled towel. So I'm pretty sure all of you have done this. It's just a hand towel with 3 rubber bands on it. And it's very subtle, but very powerful to do this sequence. All right, so it's just, think of this as kind of warming up all the small little muscles, ligaments, tendons, fascia that live right along your spine. So we're going to start with the bolster, the little tiny bolster in between our shoulder blades, kind of high up on the spine of your scapula. And remember, so first just start with the legs. Feet are on the floor, knees bent, and just practice pushing off your feet to make your spine rock top to bottom on that roll. And sometimes this takes a little bit of learning to figure out how to do this without moving your pelvis a whole bunch. So try to keep your pelvis nice and quiet. We're not tilting our pelvis very much at all. Okay. And then once you get the hang of that, the arm position, and if you struggle getting the hang of that, you can put your feet up against a baseboard or a bolster to help. And then the 3 positions of the arms is your hands are right over your chest. That mimics flexion of the spine. And then your arms are going to go up over your head, and that is the extension of your spine. All the while we're rocking. And then back to hands over your heart. And then we're going to turn our head right and bring our arms over right. And then come back to center and bring our head and our arms over left. Okay, so that's basically it. We're going to do that and go down the whole spine. So we keep moving the bolster a little bit lower and then repeat those arm positions. If you get to a place that you totally and completely and utterly love, then hang out for a while. There's no rush. And if you are not done when, I'm moving on to something else, then just kind of hang out. And this is the joy of being at home. You can ignore me and not feel weird about like taking a diversion away from the class. So if you want to do this longer, that's great. And if you want to do it shorter, that's great too. All right, so make sure you're breathing. Pay attention to your rocking. Try to be gentle and easy through your pelvis and legs. Let there be a sense of softness in this, where you're really able to receive the mobility and movement and the teeny bit of pressure that the bolster provides. Okay, remember, we're not trying to, do this on a foam roller. We want a nice soft something underneath our vertebrae so that we can melt our spine and our breath and our ribs. Remember all the positions, hands up over your chest, and then arms come up over your head, and then the twisting from side to side. So we're just mimicking many of the movements that the spine does. Make sure you're breathing while you do this. This should feel good. How much do you take advantage of props to help you do a little self-care, a little body work. This is like giving yourself a massage. And it can be very, very pleasurable to roll around on balls and towels and just get to know how your body feels. So be present with this, try not to rush. Let your breath be here, melt as best as you can. Again, if you find a spot that you're like, oh, that feels amazing, then kind of hang out there. There's no reason why you have to shorten this up. There's lots of space and time. Heavy head, relax the limbs, move into your breath. Try to be fluid instead of jerky. Notice how each position of moving the towel underneath you, starting at the top and we're working down the spine. Notice how each position offers something a little bit different. When you get to, below your shoulder blades, notice what your diaphragm is doing. And remember, your diaphragm attaches on these bottom ribs. So let's enjoy a little bit of not just the massage for the spine, but also for your diaphragm. I'm going a little faster than I sometimes do, just for the sake of, doing other things. But truly, when you're doing this by yourself and you have time, try to be timeless. That you don't have a set amount of time, but let yourself just experience. Now remember, when you get to your low back, if anybody's, I'm not quite there, but I'm getting closer to being there. When you get to your low back, you might feel like, oh, I don't feel the pressure of the blanket of the towel anymore. And if that's the case, you can bend your knees and bring your knees toward your chest and just rock with your hands on your shins. Still rocking top to bottom, just to get a little bit of that pressure into the low back. Unlike a foam roller, having a little bit of a rolled towel underneath your back is not it's not going to damage or stress your vertebrae. It's such a small, soft thing. Normally, I would say don't put much of anything underneath your low back. Kind of stick to rib cage and pelvis. But for this, it's really okay. Now, when you get to the low back, you lose, because you have to hold on to your knees, you lose a little bit of the range of motion that your arm movements have been giving you. And that's okay. So just feel into the single movement of rocking. Now, maybe the low back can have 2 or 3 passes in different little spots. You can try little subtle shifts, like bringing your knees wider apart and holding one knee with each hand. You can try bringing your knees closer. There's all sorts of ways as you're holding your legs to try to feel into what your low back wants and likes. And if you find any places that feel really good, you can stay. Now, when you get down to your sacrum, you might think, oh, I don't need to do the arm positions anymore. You can put your feet down once you get to your sacrum and start the rocking like you did before. And even though it may not feel necessary, do the arm positions again of hands over chest Arms overhead. And then side to side. It may feel like it's not doing anything, but you have deep connections down your whole spine. So having a little bit of rotation and flexion and extension in the other upper back will translate into your sacrum. Now, I have no idea where you are. I'm on my sacrum, but that doesn't mean you have to be. Like I said, I feel like I'm going faster than I normally would do this if it was just me doing it, for just to enjoy it. So don't worry if you're way behind me. And also, if you're done, go back to your favorite place. Now, when you get to the bottom, toward the bottom of your sacrum, again, you're going to feel like, okay, what am I doing? Where is this pressure? And at that point, when you get to the bottom of your sacrum near your tail, you can straighten your legs, and we're going to push off the heels. So a little flex and point through the feet to get that rocking action across the bottom edge of your sacrum. And then when you're done, and there's, like I said, no rush to be done, lie down on your back with your legs straight or your legs bent, knees bent, whichever feels best. And just allow the echoes of that to settle itself in your body. And if you're still doing it, do it as long as it takes or as long as you want. You can join us at any moment. Just enjoy the awakeness, the aliveness. And then a big stretch, limbs wide. And draw your knees in, roll over onto your side, and come up onto your hands and your knees. So as you find your way for some cat-cows, like I said, no rush, you do you. And if you're watching this on a video, you could just, hit pause and keep going and then join in a little while, if you watch this later. Okay, so let's move through some cat-cows, arching, rounding, taking your time. Feel the fullness of your vertebrae now. And then move around so you can wag your tail. You can roll through your ribs. You can move any kind of movement that feels good to you. And stretch back towards child's pose when you're ready, and walk the hands forward. Find that extension and length. Breathing well. Let's walk the hands over to the left side of your mat. And as you do this, of course, we feel the outside rim of our body from our hand down to our hip, our ribs, all that. But as you start to feel that, see if you can go inward toward your spine in your awareness and feel that the vertebrae themselves are opening up. What does it feel like in the vertebrae to open one side? Walk the hands over the other way. Start in the superficial on the outside of the body, feeling that big arc and stretch. And as you breathe, move your awareness inward to the way your vertebrae is opening on one side here. Come back up onto all fours when you're ready. Curl your toes under, stretch back towards child's pose, and stretch the bottom of your feet. I'm going to start, making sure we touch all the elements of that back line. Spread your toes wide. Feel into that, even if it's a little uncomfortable. See if you can stay. And then go ahead and release your feet. Tap your toes if it feels good to tap your toes. All right, inhale, left arm lifting up to the sky. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Feeling into the twist here. Breathing well. Opening up the movement of the vertebrae, the movement of the ribs. Let your head be relaxed. Okay, come out of there, lift that arm back up to the sky. Hand comes down onto the ground. Second side, arm lifts. Exhale, slide that arm underneath, feeling the twist. Enjoy the ribs, enjoy the spine. See if you can now notice the vertebrae rotating. Feel into them rotating. And then release that. Lift that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Curl the toes under and find your way to dog pose. Let's take a moment to slowly pedal your feet. So bend one knee, drop the other heel down, let it settle and soften. Spread out the bones of that foot. And then change sides. Drop your other heel down, spread out the bones of that foot. Take your time. And now if you want to pedal a little bit faster, pedal a little faster, but try to be very mindful of feeling the heel descend all the way to the ground. Opening up the Achilles, opening up the calves, the bottom of the foot. Maybe pick up your feet and drop them back down one at a time and feel into the fullness of your dog pose. Push off your hands, extend through your body. Feel into the length of your spine, that feeling of your sit bones lifting high. So you have all the space that you can find. Feel your heart lift toward the pelvis. Backs of the leg broaden and widen. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees a lot. Have your feet hip width apart. Let your spine fall away from your pelvis. Wobble your head around. Feel what tail wag. And then inhale for a halfway lift. Legs get straight. Spine gets straight. Open up the backs of your knees. And then melt. Again. Rising high, standing up, arms coming to the sky. Take a big breath here, open your chest. Let's squeeze the back body now a little bit. So cactus the arms, hug the shoulder blades toward each other. And then arms coming all the way back up. Exhale and float forward. Grab 2 blocks. Put your hands on the blocks at whatever height you need. Stretch into a halfway lift. Lengthen your spine. While you're here, let's pedal your feet again. Dropping one heel as you bend the other knee. Dropping the other heel as you bend the other knee. Just kind of going back and forth with your knees bending. And then pause. Lift up your toes. Spread the bones of your feet. Staying in that halfway lift. Lift the sit bones. Lengthen the spine. And as you're ready to fold, bend your knees to whatever place you need to so that the fold is at your hip joints. Let your spine fall toward the floor. Wobble your head. Back to a dog pose. Long spine, spacious here. See what it feels like to spread out your feet. Maybe descend your heels a little bit more than you sometimes do. Notice the shape of your back change, and that's okay. Find the breath. Come forward into a plank. When you're ready, hold steady. See if you can feel the sturdiness of the full torso, including the back of your body. Breathe well. Knees come down onto the ground, find the floor, roll the shoulders a few times. Inhale, cobra pose, the chest opens. Exhale and melt and release. Again, rising up. Feel the vertebrae open on the front. Exhale and come back down. We're going to hover the hands off the floor. Lift up a little bit, elbows drawing back. Feel the full line of the back body engage. Imagine your shoulder blades and everything around there kind of drawing down toward the low back. Engage your core to support. And then release and relax. Come up onto all fours. Move the spine about. Dog pose if you want, or just take your right foot forward to a lunge. Hands can be on blocks. Now, as we straighten and bend the front knee, be so mindful to keep the spine spacious, that we're not hunkering up the back and tucking the chin and having this rounded spine. As we move, we want to keep the length of our spine alive and well. Now add a little bit onto this. So when you straighten your front leg a bit, lift your toes up off the floor, tuck the chin toward the chest, and then back into your lunge again. Try to keep the length of the spine, toes up, chin in, bend the knee again. This is a really good stretch for your sciatic nerve as well. All right, find your lunge, ground into your legs. Come on up when you're ready. Press and lunge. Arms come up if you want them to be there, or anywhere else you'd like your arms to be. Feel into this power of your legs. Drop your weight, reach up and extend. Lift yourself out of your pelvis. Support with your front and your back. Let's cactus the arms and wake up all the muscles in the back of your body. And release the hands. Down onto the ground, back foot comes forward, fold, relax your neck. A halfway lift, feel the legs straighten and the spine too. Exhale and melt again. Step your left foot forward, right foot comes back, lunging on this side. Same when we start to bend and straighten the front knee. Let's first have a couple of passes of just being very mindful to keep our spine long and extended as we straighten the leg. And the leg does not have to go all the way straight. Take the blocks higher if you feel like you need a little support for your spine. Next pass, start to pick up the toes and tuck the chin. Back and forth with breath. Find your lunge, ground, rising up. Crescent lunge, arms can come up if that's nice for your body. Drop some weight into your legs, feel that grounding. How's your low back? Are you smushed and leaned in? See if you can rise out of the pelvis. Find your breath. Keep the base of your skull relaxed. Open up. Squeeze the back body a little bit. Cactus the arms. Feel the engagement along those muscles. And then release your hands down. Let's walk your back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana. Bend your knee. Put your two blocks on the flat side, the low side, stacked next to each other. We're going to tip them up a little bit. Let me do this from the side so you can see. We're going to tip them up a little bit and put your feet on them. Okay. Now this might be a lot, in which case maybe you're holding a wall when you do this so that you have that ability to stay on, without your hips going way back, to stay with your hips over your heels. Okay, extend the spine. Notice if you lean into your pinky toe side, see if you can open up the full foot, the full back of the calf, and then bend your knees, grab onto one block, let it go. Get the other one out of there. Okay. And then bring your hands down onto the ground, dog pose. Let's do some spinal rolling while we're here. So round the spine, come forward into a plank and stretch the spine straight again. And then round the spine to roll back, lifting the sit bones. One more time. Rounding forward, straighten out your spine, sternum forward, and then back. Breathe well. Okay, let's come forward into a plank. Hang out here for a moment. Breathing well. Put your knees down onto the ground and find fear. Same thing with the cobra, but instead of having our hands over here, let's have our hands down at our sides, palms facing the floor, and we're gonna lift everything up. So feel the whole back line of your body engaged from the bottom of your toes to the eyebrows. Everything's engaging on that back line. Breathing deep. And then melt, relax. Come up onto all fours, switch around in your spine. Okay, a little bit more engagement along that back line. Right leg straight behind you, left arm out in front of you. This is a great way to engage, along the back side of your body, you have a huge sheath of fascia. Your thoracolumbar fascia, it's this giant, strong sheath of fascia in your body. So see if you can feel that. Breathing well. And then release that hand and knee down onto the ground. Second side, lift the leg up, feel your hamstrings, your glutes, maybe even point your toe in the air so your calf and your bottom of your foot engage. Find your core, other arm out in front of you. Breathe well. Release that knee. Now we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it with some movement now. So come on up again, right leg straight back, left arm out in front. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, hug underneath. Inhale, bring it on out. Exhale, elbow and knee come toward each other. One more time. All right, put that hand and knee down onto the ground, second side. Engage the full back line of the body. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hug underneath. Do you notice that you're stronger in one direction, one way, one side than the other? Or does it feel about the same? Let's do one more. Stretching out on your inhale and engaging underneath on your exhale. All right, hand and knee down. Child's pose. Settle into the openness of the back body. Finding breath. Dog pose. Extend through your spine. Breathing well. And walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you want. Weight even in your feet. Rising all the way up. Arms coming to the sky. Open again. All right, so we're going to do two different actions here. First, interlace your hands behind your back and open up the shoulders. Feel the sense of bringing the shoulder blades toward each other, the collarbones open. Now drop your chin toward your chest. Finding breath. And then lift your chin. Now neutral head. Bend forward, knees can soften, arms away from your back. Open up the fronts of your shoulders, bring your shoulder blades toward each other. Relax your head. Okay, release, come on back. Arms this time lifting up. In a big circle. Now if you're dizzy, just pause for a moment. Sometimes the up down can be a little rough. We have one more going down. This time we're going to stretch the top edge of that back line. So as we bend our knees and fold forward, interlace your hands at the base of your skull and toe. Okay, so we're just pulling our chin toward our chest,
Bend your knees as much as you want. Breathing deep. Notice what's opening there. Right, relax that. Let's go ahead and bring our hands onto blocks. Right foot forward, left foot back. Extend into Parsvottanasana, drop some weight into that front big toe. Release your head downward. Squaring the hips, tuck your chin toward the chest. Feel that extension of the spine. Coming back up, back foot comes forward. You can stand all the way or just switch legs, whichever feels better to you. Parsvottanasana legs, square hips, extend your spine, start to lower your body down, reach that hip back, drop into the big toe mound. If you want to tuck your chin toward your chest, you can. Breathing deep. Up. Back foot comes forward. Deep breath in, open the heart. Exhale, fold forward. A halfway lift. Spine spacious. Melt again. Step back to dog pose. Long, spacious spine. Root the hands and feet. Come forward into a plank. Hold steady here. Lower yourself down. Back bend of your choice. Anything that feels good. Release and surrender to the ground. Up onto all fours and move things about. Okay, we're going to come onto our back and we're going to find a bridge pose. So ground the four corners of your feet. We're going to lift up, climb onto the tops of your shoulders. Notice your neck. Try not to turn your head. Okay. You can interlace your hands behind you if that feels good, underneath you if that feels good, or have your arms down pressing into the earth. Ground the four corners of your feet. Feel that back line engage. Maybe pull your feet toward your head a little bit so you can kind of enhance that. Squeeze an imaginary block between your thighs. Open up your chest. And then melt and relax. Windshield wiper your knees and turn your head in opposition of your knees. So as knees go one direction, head goes the other. Let's find this a little deeper of a twist now. Feet down, lift the hips, scoot them over right, knees come up and drop left. Turn your head. Breathe your way into the spinal twist. Come on up. Move your hips over to the other side. Knees come up and drop down to the right. Turn your head. Let your neck go into, or your head go in the total opposite direction of your knees. And then relax. Back to center. One more bridge. Feet down on top of the shoulders. If you want to interlace your arms, your hands underneath, you can. Ground the four corners of your feet. A real or an imaginary block between your thighs. Neck is spacious without weight bearing on the neck. So pay attention. Put the weight in your shoulders. Let your neck have its neutral curve. And then relax and melt again. Windshield wiper your knees. And then we're going to grab your strap. Wrap the strap around your right foot. Lift it straight up in the air. Left leg can be bent with foot on the ground, or left leg can be straight. Supta Padangusthasana. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Settle the weight of your head down. Open up the hamstrings, but also open up the spine. Feel the length. Move your hip away from your shoulder. Okay, let's open up to the side. Supta Padangusthasana 2. Holding the strap in the right hand, letting the inner hamstrings and the inner thigh muscles open up. Breathing well. Heavy, heavy head. Notice if your head takes burden in this posture, relax that back line. Then reach that leg up, take the strap into the left hand, cross the right leg over to the left. Maybe the heel of your right hand presses in the hip crease to keep that femur bone moving away, maybe not, you decide. Whatever you're doing, your head is heavy, you don't have to pick up your head. That leg back up. Switch sides, left foot in the strap, right foot can be on the ground, right leg can be on the ground, your choice. Extend the spine. Feel the left hip move away from the shoulder. Reach up through your foot and down through your hip. Find all the extension in your body that you can. Feel the freedom and heaviness in your skull. Keep your breath alive. Relax your shoulders. Have enough give on the strap where you're not lifting the shoulders away from the ground. When you're ready, open the left leg out to the left, coming into Supta Padangusthasana 2. Feel the heaviness of your head, the weightedness of your right side, the whole right side. And lift that leg back up. We're crossing the left leg over to the right. Strap is in the right hand. Feel free to put the heel of your left hand in the hip crease if you want. Feel free to not. Find your breathing. Lift that leg up, back in the air. Now we're going to take 2 feet in the strap. All right, so pull your toes down toward your face, lift your heels. Find a little curve in your low back, so we're not pressing our low back into the ground. Feel the extension through the body. All right, go ahead and relax. Okay, now we're going to come into shoulder stand into Halasana. So there's so many ways to go about doing this. I'm going to do this. You can do this with a wall behind you. It's hard for me to do it at my wall and you to see me. So I'm going to do this at my little table here, imagining that's a wall. So I'm opening my 2 blankets, open fold, okay? Stacking them on top of each other. Often when I do this pose, I also flip my my mat like this so that it's over top, so I have grip on my shoulders instead of just the blanket. That's a helpful way for me to do this pose. Okay, so I'm going to start with my pelvis on the ground, my shoulders on my blankets, and my head off. This is important. You want the shoulders under your blanket, the blankets under your shoulders, but not underneath your head. So have enough width, both, like from shoulder to shoulder width, but also shoulder to hip width of those blankets, so that you have enough room for your elbows to be on the blanket. So feel that now before you lift up. Is your head off? Are your shoulders to elbows on the blankets when your elbows are down next to your sides? Okay, so that's how much blanket you need underneath you. And then if you're close to a wall, you can put your feet on the wall. I'm going to put it on my piece of furniture here. You can do this with furniture as well. Don't turn your head. I just turned my head, but I'm not gonna look that way again, because once you're up and bearing weight down on your shoulders, you wanna make sure your neck's in a good place. So lift your pelvis up, and just tuck in my shirt, and then rock onto the tops of the shoulders. So you have that support system. Now I could be a little bit closer to my, the piece of furniture. You might feel that way about the wall as well. Now you can stay here. You can lift one leg up if you want. You can lift both legs up. Now, if you come into a full shoulder stand, try not to do this where you're bananaing your body. See if you can get your pelvis over your shoulders, your feet over your pelvis. Now, at any moment, you can find the wall again and put your feet or one foot back and return to that extra bit of support. So find whatever's working. How's your neck? Make sure you're on the very tops of your shoulders. And if this is too much on your neck, lean back a little bit like this, so there's less pressure on your neck. And then when you're ready to come down, just rest for a minute. We're going to repeat that and go into Halasana. Now, for some people, I mean, there's so many variations that you can do in shoulder stand to help you. And this is why it's hard for me to teach this online, because I can't see what anybody's doing. So I don't know what you need for help, but just check in with your neck when you're come back down with your pelvis on the ground. I have my feet on the floor. It's possible you have your feet on the wall, and turn your head from side to side and just notice, like, how's my neck? Did I do okay? Did I not do okay? Do I need more blankets underneath my shoulders? Do I need less? Do I need to change the position of my pelvis so I'm not right over my shoulders? Is that too much for me? Ask yourself these questions. So this is not a goal. Don't let shoulder stand, be run by your ego. Let it be run by the body. Okay, so now we're going to move into Halasana. So we're going to come back up, climb onto the tops of the shoulders as best as you can. Okay, you can put your feet on the wall, or you can put your feet in the air, whatever feels good. And then if you're ready to try Halasana, you can bring your legs lower. I forgot to tell you, you can put blocks or something underneath. But you can bring your feet to the ground if that's good. You can also do this where you put your feet on a piece of furniture. You could drag an ottoman or something in your house closer in. So we're staying on the tops of our shoulders. Now, another alternative is to bend your knees and just kind of bring your knees closer toward your chest, maybe even your knees to your forehead. So to find the pathway that's right for your body. Open up the breath. Feel that full back line stretch. Now, when you come out of the pose, be very mindful of it, because when you roll, sometimes you pick up speed, so the wall might get closer faster. And then you always want to do a counter pose after shoulder stand and Halasana. And there's two choices. You could very simply do child's pose with picking up your chin so the chest stays open instead of coming down. Lift your head, lift your chin, touch your teeth. Or you can do fish pose where you come onto your back. Okay. You're going to put your hands underneath your pelvis, underneath your sacrum, palms facing down. The elbows come toward each other. You climb up. My hair is getting in my way. But you climb up onto the top of your head, shoulders open, throat open. Breathing well. So either way to counter the movement of your neck. And then once you are ready to be done with the counter pose, come down onto your back. Bend your knees and just pause. We're going to do a twist, but start with some windshield wipers. Make sure you turn your head in opposition of your knees. As knees drop right, head turns left. As knees go left, head turns right. Nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. Breathing well. Neutral. Let's do a full twist. Hips go over to the right. Pick up your knees, drop them left, turn your head to the right. A full breath here. Relax and breathe. Come back to center. Scoot your hips over to the other side, knees come up, drop right, head turns left. Now, if you feel like shoulder stand and halasana are just really not easy postures, they're not good for your neck, whatever it is, doing other inversions like Viparita Karani, legs up the wall with your pelvis on a bolster, kind of high on the bolster, and your legs against the wall can be such a beautiful alternative to shoulder stand so that you get all the benefit of inverting all the release for your cardiovascular system, your lymphatic system, you decrease the effect of gravity for moments. So any inversion will give you that impact, but especially one where your legs are above your heart. So for instance, dog pose and Uttanasana are inversions, but they're not, your legs are not above your heart. So your head is just below your heart. So poses where you can get your legs above your pelvis, above your heart, have a really good benefit for the body. Okay, so now when we come into Shavasana here, it sometimes is difficult to lie flat after Halasana and shoulder stand. And so if that's the case, you can prop up whatever you want underneath you. Sometimes it's nice to put your calves up on a chair or a couch, or you can, prop up with blocks and blankets and such underneath your pelvis. Okay, so let's see what we can do to feel yourself melting. Remember, you want to stay warm, you want to be comfy, so if the body needs any adjustments in temperature or put a blanket over you. Let's, as you settle, there's no right or wrong way to be in Shavasana. You can even be on your side. Allow the weight of your body to drop in, your limbs dropping. Pay attention to your skull. Let your head get really heavy. Breathe deeply, breathe fully. body again. Invite small movements, maybe wiggling your fingers, toes, or ankles, and turning your head from side to side. Eventually, finding movement to come up to sit. Take your time. As you find a comfortable seat, again, notice the lift and spaciousness between your vertebrae. As you feel ready, bring your hands together to your heart. A moment to offer the gifts of your practice. Send your love and care to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Blessings on the day.